Shalom, shalom, and shalom, Sister Deborah. Coming this evening with a message. And it's going to cover what should we be speaking about in this day. And I would like your input just to hear what you think we should be speaking about in this day. In this day in which we are in. And you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do a search of every time the warning went out from Genesis to Revelation, speaking of in that day. And it will blow your mind because it is speaking of where we at today. Isn't that deep? Everything that was said in that day is speaking of in this day that we are in today. I myself can't explain why it is not preached, spoken about, ministered to individual, instilled in individual. I just I can't even explain. All I know, again, another ball dropped. Another ball has been dropped. Because really, what should we be speaking about in this day? If Genesis said something about in that day, Exodus said something about in that day, Numbers all the way to Revelation spoke of in that day. What happened that we are now in that day and no one's speaking about it? I know you think that they are because you look at YouTube and you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at all these people that's talking about the Bible. All these people talking about different religions. But no one is talking about what was being said about in that day. Why? Because they don't know that it was spoke of from the beginning about this day that we are in. And being so, it has been spoken about in that day since the beginning. We need to go back and search who all said something about the day we're in today and why. Who gave them the authority and the right to speak of, but in that day, it will blow your mind to know that they've been warning us way back in the beginning about that day that we're in. And you don't hear nobody on this devil platform speaking about this day that we're in. They want to take you everywhere else outside of where we really are at in such a day as this. No one wants to touch that rim for some reason or another. I don't know if it's the will of the Father for it to be frozen to the point really in that day, to those who are blind and those who are lost, it just was his will that no one really discussed the fact that since the beginning of time, they were speaking of a day like this that we're in. I'm gonna be honest with you. When my aunt died, she left all these albums in her basement. And so happened she had a brand new album from Martin Luther King. Had never been opened. When that's something I took and I listened to it. And as I listened to things that he was saying, it's nothing he said that you have heard ever, at least me, ever on the face of the earth. Martin Luther King was saying things that I have never heard anyone preach nor teach on this earth. I haven't heard it. He went on to talk about his visit that the Most High had paid him. He called him God, but he was saying the visit that he had. He asked him, what if there was a time period you would want to return, what time period would it be? And he began to say how he danced around the question that God had asked him in this vision. No, it was a dream, in this dream. And he went all the way back when him and his mother laid down and conceived him. He went all the way back and said, that's not a day I want to go back to. He said that God told him that what day would he like to enter therein if he were to give him a chance to return back. Something like that. And he went on to say, all the way from the time his mother and father met to the time they conceived him to the time he was born, he don't want to go back that day because the father was asking him. This is what he was saying that was in the dream. So he told the father, if you would allow me, I would love to enter into the 21st century. And y'all, I think I had to been 20 something years old. And I have waited to see what was so special about the 21st century. That would cause a man to have a dream, and he requests in his dream to what he said was God, that he would love to enter back in a time period as the 21st century. Now, this wasn't somebody else speaking for him. This was him on this album. Every voice that was on this album was Martin Luther King Jr. And I thought that lived with me for a mighty long time, because that was something I pressed toward the Father regarding what was to be of the 21st century. So I'm going to say this to you all. I know many of you all have no idea that we have gotten an opportunity to live in a time, and in our time, in a day like no other. And I know we're living as if it's just the norm, or it ain't mean nothing. It don't. But just a little while longer, it all going to make sense. It all going to be felt, and not someone just saying it to you. Okay. It all going to make sense, because it's all going to start falling in place. Okay. Right now, you got so many voices in the land. You can't put one with the other. You can't put a piece together because there's so many voices in the land. But I tell you, I would not deny that we are in a time, I would not deny it, like no other. We are in a time like no other. So while we are here, I say unto you, each and every last one who feel they might have their own answer to what should we be speaking about in this day and time. Now, I know it's a lot of things to speak about. What I mean is when it comes to the light, when it comes to spirit and truth, when it comes to righteous, when it comes to the Most High Yah, what should we be speaking about in such a time as this? You know, many of us can turn and say, well, we got to seek Yah face. We got to pray about it. We got to ask the Most High Yah. Ooh, that sounds good. But guess what? We can ask all we want. We can seek all we want. How dare I seek and ask for that which is already in me? Can't get no greater than that. Can't get no greater than that, because even – within me, anything that I wonder about. See, when I was young, I questioned everything. Hey, Father, yeah, but Father, what about this? What about this? Now I don't do all that because every question that I always put forth to the Father, it is already clearly seen within me. Within me, I don't have to ask those questions. That's why I can speak today. It's because all the questions that I had, even as a young girl, Yah has fulfilled me with the answer. And that's another reason why I can't go out here and take what everybody is saying and make it something truth or make it righteous when there's no spirit in truth backing it up, no spirit in truth laying it down. Just taking what somebody is saying. Is somebody saying something out there? Yes, there's a lot of truth being spoken, but it don't mean nothing. Because when it run up on spirit and truth, then it got to sit down. Because now the spirit of he that created all things wants you to know the spirit of truth, not the flesh of truth, but the spirit of truth. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm saying. And I'm going to show you something you never seen before. You never gave it, probably, I ain't gonna say you never, well, you most likely you ain't gave it a thought to be truthful. And I'm gonna just bring that thing up and I'm going to land that thing down just to give you a little bit of something of how you can live as long as you think you can live. Not because not it ain't up to you, but you can still die knowing nothing. And lost with the cost and without, sleeping in your grave. I want to first also enter right back in to something I was talking about yesterday, and that is the power. And then I'm going to show you something that you never thought of. You never thought to put the pieces together. And I think that's going to knock the ball out of the park. Okay? The first hit is going to knock it out. So I want to go to Galatians. Galatians chapter 1. In the book of Galatians chapter 1, and we're going to hit verse 9 to 11. In the book of Galatians, chapter 1, and verse 9 through 11. I want to touch on yesterday because I want to give you some more insight, and I want to ask you some questions, and we're going to have a lot of fun here because this is going to be something you're going to wonder, you're going to want to answer. Okay, and it's pretty hard, but we can get through that. Okay, let's go to Galatians chapter 1, and let's start with verse 9. As we said before, so say I now again. This is Paul. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accused. And let me say that again. As we said before, so say I now again. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accused. Take that verse and dissect it. And can you tell me what is Paul talking about? Anybody in the library? What is Paul talking about? Paul is saying in verse 9, Galatians chapter 1 and verse 9, as we said before, so say I now again. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accused. What is Paul talking about? What would you think Paul is speaking on? It's two things he said that carries the power. There's two things Paul is saying that carries the power. And what is that? In Galatians chapter 1, verse 9. Okay. Anyone. As we said before, so say I now again. If any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accused. Okay. Now, I'm going to go on and dissect that right quick. And that is Galatians chapter 1 and verse 9. We talked yesterday. Let me see. Do we have someone? He's talking about what they're doing today. They are not preaching the power of the kingdom. Okay. Okay. Let me kind of break it down for you. Right here, Paul is saying, I'm repeating myself first and foremost. I'm going to say it again like I said before. I love that. Paul said, I said like I said it before. Again, watch this. If any man preach any other gospel unto you that then that ye have received, let him be accused. You know, Paul is not talking about the Bible. Paul is not talking about nothing but the power. Paul ain't talking about nothing, y'all, but the power. Let me read it over to you. And I'm going to put it where he's talking. As we said before, so say I now again. If any man preach any other power unto you than that which you have received. See, he telling them that you have received. When the Ruach come upon you, you shall what? Receive power. That's what Paul is telling them. If any man come and teach you anything, let me say it like he said it. If any man preach any other power unto you than that ye have received. So this power, this gospel he's talking about, is something they already received. And he ain't talking about out of words. He's letting them know, preach any other power. See, we should be preaching that today. The power of Yah. And he's saying here, if any man preach any other power unto you than that which you have already received, let him be accursed. Letting you know, if you already received the power of the Ruach HaKodesh, anybody come telling you something different than what you already received, preaching to you something different than the power that you already received. Notice Paul is saying that you already received. That's the Ruach, y'all. That's the only one that can usher the power. Paul told us already that the gospel is the power of Yah. And just because we dropped the ball and we didn't keep up and teach it to the people, that's why you can't teach it today. That's why you can't teach it today. Because they thought the gospel was the Bible. They thought the gospel was the Bible likened to the word. They think the word is the Bible. They think the gospel is the Bible. He just told them, you received something. And if somebody teach you something different than what you received, they already cursed. Because he's telling him, as if he's trying to tell him, look, I done said it to you once before. Anybody preaching to you about the power that you already received, let them be cursed. That's how important I keep telling y'all it is when you have that ruach in you. Y'all don't understand the power that comes with that. And throughout the time, it told them you should have power when that what? That Holy Spirit come upon you and in you. And that's what he's saying to them. See, everybody thought the gospel was taking the book and read. That's why you got so many pastors, so many bishops, so many apostles, so many priests, so many prophets, so many prophetess, Maureen, seers, watchmen, because they think they preaching something to you all. They trying to preach something to you out of the book. The book ain't got power, but the Ruach do. And he said, when I come in thee, I'm going to teach you all things. In a sense, to let you know, ain't no book going to override me as the teacher. They didn't want that. They want what they can see and believe. So here Paul is saying it right here. Same thing he said in Romans chapter 1. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God. But we still want to be talking about everything in this day and time outside of what we need to. Let me go on with this here, verse 10. For do I know, in verse 10, Galatians chapter 1, verse 10, for do I now persuade men or yeah? Or do I seek to please man? For if I yet please man, I shall not be the servant of that power, which is Christ. You see that? Christ is the power. He said he can't be a servant if he does things to please man. So he's telling you, he's bringing you into a spiritual understanding of what you need to know in the spirit of truth. Not what man is teaching you, not what they saying that is truth. Now let's go to verse 11. But I clarify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not of man. Now, how do that sound? Listen to how crazy that sound, but how much sense it makes. Listen to this. Verse 10. No, where am I? But is that clerk certified you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. You see, he's letting you know, y'all, the gospel which was preached of me is not of man. Can y'all see it? Can you see? Now, don't say it because I'm saying you see it. Let me know if you see it. Listen to what he says. But I certify, I think that's what that means, you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. He's letting you know the gospel. We can't make it something that's after man. Why? Because after man is flesh. You see? He's trying to line this whole thing up to show you that this here gospel is the power. It ain't got the connection to man teaching you this. This has no connection to what you hear a man say. And then down here in verse 10, in verse 11, he said that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. The power in which I preach to you, it's not after the flesh. Bam! That's what he's talking about. It's not after the flesh. It's after the Spirit. Because it's the gospel is the power of the Father. And he's sitting here telling you it's not after man. And he told you in verse, which one? In verse 9, if any man preach any other gospel unto you, then that ye have received. He's telling you done received something. And then somebody gonna come talk to you about the gospel. How they gonna tell you and you done received it? I tell y'all that all the time. I don't have time to receive all this mess that these people are teaching on this devil platform. Why? Because if I got the rock, what am I listening to them for? And if you have the rock, you have the power. And that's what he's telling them, that you received already. The way they would teach you this is, it's telling you, if anybody speak any other gospel that's out of this book, that's not lining up with this book, let them be accused. No, baby, you didn't know what the gospel was. You don't know what the gospel is. And he laid it out. He did not make the gospel what a man teaches. He told you right here, for if I yet please man, I should not be the servant of that power, which is Christ. We can't, y'all, because you don't have the Ruach. You don't have that power. That's who Christ is. He came with the word, the power, and the spirit. That's all of who Yah is in his only begotten, beloved son that he created of himself to come down with the Son of Man. And we're going to find that out tonight too. And myself, I would question a lot of people. And where are you actually what direction are you really walking in or toward? Because I'm going to show you one of the biggest balls that also, it ain't the biggest, but it's a big ball that was dropped even to this very day. Okay. So here, I just wanted to give you, and I can't give it to you because I'm saying the same thing Paul said. Because if I can't give you what you already received, I can't pinpoint to you that the gospel is the power. I can't be talking to you if you already received it. Meaning not that I can't be talking to you, but that's what make you so special. It's the power, y'all. And Paul said they come teaching a new power, preaching. The gospel is the power. I preached it to you all, telling you about the power. Anybody else come telling you something different than that power that you received, you sick. Because if you already received the power, you ain't got no business to let nobody tell you about the power when you got it in you. Paul said you already received. And if you already received, let them be accused. And if you receive, you also fall under the category of the servant of Christ, which is Hamashiach. Paul just lining you straight into the spiritual realm. And then in verse 10, in verse, 11, he says, but I certify you that, not that, brethren, that the gospel, the power which was preached of me is not after man. Meaning what he preached about the gospel, it is not after the flesh. This here thing is on my, there, I got it off. It is not after the flesh. But see, this is going back to what I was saying. Everybody want to capture Yah only in the realm of the flesh. And I noticed that in this day and time, they want him so close to a man. You know, just like they do the animals now, the cats and dogs, they want them so close to a human because they reject sharing care, compassion, and mercy to other human beings. So they run and get a beast, a blood licker, a flesh eater. They run and get the animals and call themselves they're loving. on them because they don't have what it takes to eliminate their hate. So they figured if I can get an animal and I can show that I can care, I can give them dental, I can give them vet care, pay for the vet, I can give them, I can feed them, but a man on the streets, they bypass. Homeless people ain't got a place to stay, but you in their house feeding dogs. That's why I say, one time I went to the Father and I was crying and I said, I can't believe you allowed me to do this. I said, you got dogs being taken care of over me. I did. I mean, I was all the way in, y'all. I can't believe you did. You allowed that. Because, and guess what, y'all? All my living, I love animals. But I never believed in treating animals outside of their creative order. Not Sister Deborah. I don't believe an animal should rule your household. Like, let's say, for instance, my daughter, she took her crazy self over there to Paris. She wanted me to keep her dog. Her dog is, I think, 6 months or something like that. But she has this animal don't have no training, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. I don't believe in a dog entering in my bedroom, my kitchen, and my bathroom. No. This dog already know. I take one look at him. That dog back up and go on back. I double dare you to go in my bedroom. You don't come in my bedroom. I don't close my door, but you ain't coming in. I'm not setting the way I live so a beast that I know y'all didn't create to rule over a household. When that first time she got here, first thing she started clamming on top of the kitchen table. That dog ain't been on that table since he did it once. Climb up there again. She gonna come get you and you gonna be dead. I do not, y'all, I'm just non-tolerant. You wants to give an animal and a beast its work, you go right ahead. I love the idea that everything is going to be judged and measured. Because I sit back and I see poor people just needing it and don't have. And you got people out here thinking it's cute because they can maintain a living for an animal as if they human. When my son said to me, he said, when we were staying in Georgia, we did, and this dog he was a child, and his name was Beast. When Beast was vicious, I mean, he was a beast. And when I don't know, when you know how males get it. My son and every last one of them have said to me, I don't say nothing about it because I know. They know I don't play with them. Animals know that I ain't the one. That dog done bit every last one of them. Quiet Storm, we had to pull him off for Beast because he was beating him to a pulse. My oldest son, he had bit him so many times, he had to go to the hospital and get stitches. Whoa, they'll tell you quick. Only one he didn't bite. He even bit my son 3 or 4 times that owned him. Only one that dog did not bite was me. To me, you would have thought that would have told him something. But see, people don't give a rat's behind about nothing. And then I sit back and I hear them be saying that, and they be laughing. You know how they get together and they be laughing. I remember Beast bit everybody. Beast went after everybody, but he ain't never bite mama. You sure darn right, and you better not either. Non-tolerant. I believe animals is to be treated like animals. They're to be have their tails outside, not in your house. And if they come in your house, they have to follow what you say. This dog, when his first day came, he came to that table. And I went after his head. And from that time on, he said, no, this lady ain't playing. I don't believe in dogs going through the trash can. I don't believe in dogs licking out of the toilet. For what? Why are you doing that? She got me feeding you 3 times, taking you out 4 times. Why are you feeling that you, right after you get fed, you got to go in the toilet or you got to head to the trash can? This is how she bring them up. That's how she treated him. I'm just non-tolerant. And I'm gonna be honest with you, y'all. I'm telling you, I don't care what nan one of y'all say. I am blessed beyond blessed because I can look at each and every last one of you all and say, I really appreciate how y'all created me. I really do. Because it's no way I could take the fact that an animal is going to be in my house ruling me. And when people let them things do that to them, they are fools. Straight up from the floor. Fools. And most of the time, and I'm going to pull out my 90% of the time, it's got to do with them not wanting to share that care and love to a human being. So they got to get a beast or an animal that allow them to think they all that answer. Because you got an animal that you can't go off on you, can't say nothing to you. And you tell them what to do and you give you, and then you start letting them rule over your household. You's a fool. I tell any of y'all that, male and female. You don't ever get, no, I ain't gonna say you don't ever, because let me tell you, you done already done it. And you think Yah is gonna see you somewhere and you feel you feeding what he called a blood licker, a flesh eater, and then people out on the streets, you will curse out and call yourself saved if they ask you for 50 cents, like you do Sister Deborah. You're sick. You don't know you're sick, but you are. You're sicker than sick. Then you wonder why you ain't got the Ruach. You wonder why you don't know nothing. Because you're born of the flesh. And that's why you serve the flesh. And you serve the flesh of these animals out of the order of what Yah has called them to be. People told me, oh, you shouldn't have that pit bull. That pit bull, they this, they this, they did. I learned something I never knew, y'all. That people's mouth is worse than a pit bull. That ICE ain't never came after me. If that dog didn't find time to try to help me and even help me up the steps, every little thing, I'm sitting here watching this dog. I said, what is this, Father? You gave him to me to help me or what? This dog acting like he's trying to help me. This dog ain't, he ain't no dog in the house. When it get real cold, his cage is down the basement. But he had his tail outside. And now he's over there with my son and my ex-husband, and they treat him real bad. They don't take him out. He don't get to do anything. And then they have, you know what they have nerve to say to me? They say, we was taking him on the chain, taking him out so he can go use the bathroom, but he don't even need it. You open the door, he go do what he got to do, and he come right back. See, they didn't know that. He's just a really good animal. He's not the type of animal that going out there fighting and going in people's trash can. This dog here, when he take a look, he head in that kitchen. He try to get in that kitchen. He see that trash can right after he eat. And he look up there at me and take off running. You doing right. You better take off running because I break your neck. Yes, I will. I don't play that, y'all. I don't believe in if, oh man, Father, y'all, these people don't know me. They don't know me. I have something for us people that's out on the streets that's not having anything versus sitting here giving a darn parasite loaded in their mouths. Let me get into this here. Revelation 14. Never stick to your message, baby. Revelation 14. Okay, Father, y'all. Revelation 14, we still on that power, and then we're going to go into something that I'm going to ask you all about. And I'm not looking for nobody to have an answer. Okay? And when you get the answer, know that you learned something tonight. If you say you never learned nothing, you about to learn something tonight. Okay? Okay. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 5. We're going to 5 to 8. Revelation chapter 14 and verse 5. And it reads, and in their mouth was found no guilt, for they are without fault before the throne of Yah. I like that. I like that, Father Yah. Verse 6. And I saw another angel flying in the midst of the heavens, having the everlasting gospel. The everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwelled on the earth, and to every nation, kindreds, tongues, and people. Don't think he needs you. He don't need you. My question was, what should we be speaking about today? When we open our ugly mouth, what should we be speaking about? And who should we be speaking it to? Anybody. Whether they like it or not. Speak spirit and truth. And it says here in verse 6, Revelation chapter 14, verse 6, and I saw another angel flying in the midst of the heavens, having the everlasting gospel. What is the everlasting gospel? To preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, kindreds, and tongues, and people. What is that telling you? That's actually speaking of Matthew 24. In them end days, when the disciple asks Yeshua, when will be the end? He's letting you know these are the angels that went out to do to preach the power of the gospel. You preaching it because you're running around here preaching, meaning you're informing people of what? What can you inform people of that's spiritual? That power. That's what you need to be speaking. So I like that because Revelation bumping right after Matthew 24 and verse 14. We are all angels, whether y'all know it or not. Heavens already know what the gospel is. Why wouldn't it? It is all power in the heaven. We just so sick down here. We think we know everything. You think that angel is preaching to the people up in heaven, the gospel? Think. Go back to it, y'all. Just listen to what it says. I'm going to tell you something right there. That went all over your head. Because what it says, and I saw another angel. This is John. Flying in the midst of heavens, having everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwells on the earth, and every nation and every kindred and every tongue and every people. He said he's seeing this in the kingdom. That was the mission of Matthew chapter 24. John was giving you a clip. He's sitting here telling you the angel was preaching the gospel. Not in the heavens, but telling you he saw that in the heaven to all the nation. Because what has happened is y'all never listen to his word. Y'all never accept his spirit. Now he gonna have to show up with his power. You dropped the ball on his word. You dropped the ball on his spirit. Now it's time to show up and show out in his power. And that was always the gospel, was the power. Verse 7, saying with a loud voice, fear Yah and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment. He's giving you a warning. What's going to happen with the judgment? What do you mean the hour of his judgment? That's that power. That angel is saying the power of Yah is at hand, y'all. People walking around here like they nose all the way up in there, especially the females. Lost with a cause and without. Don't know how, they got sense enough to bring their tails back low. They all up high like they got the keys to the kingdom and the ticket, a one-way ticket to Mount Zion. Now here in verse 7, he's saying with a loud voice, who? The angel that's preaching the gospel, saying with a loud voice, fear Yah. Why are we fearing him? Oh, Deborah, because he finna throw down. This angel is preaching the gospel. The angel is preaching the power of Yah. Now listen to what he's saying with a loud voice, fear Yah and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. That's that power. Yah's judgment is his power. Now watch this here. And worship him that made heaven and the earth and the sea and the fountain and the water. You better be ready to do just that, because he's finna throw down with his power. So this is what John saw. But this is also what we are going through today. So if I ask, what should we be speaking about? That power. And what other verse is that? I go to 8, verse 8. In verse 8, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is falling. The great city became because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Wait a minute, hold up. Ain't that in Revelation 18? Well, what is this here you talking about, John? Deborah, when I told you that I was in the presence, in the kingdom, I saw in verse 6 at his throne an angel flying in the midst of heavens, having everything and everlasting gospel, preaching it. That angel was preaching the power. Then you drop down to 8, he telling you the power finna throw down. Babylon has fallen. That power did that. So if you wonder what you're supposed to be speaking, speak that power. Now, why would that power be in you if you say you got it, the Ruach HaKodesh in you? The first one of the main signs is the power. Why would that power be in you if you ain't got nothing to say to that? You're supposed to be speaking about the power. This here angel was warning them even of the judgment of the Yah. Y'all better fear him. Y'all better fear him. The judgment of the Most High Yah has come. And Babylon is about to fall. He's giving you the same warning in Matthew 24. You think they listen in Matthew 24? No. In verse 14? No. They ain't gonna listen in Revelation. Now we finna go somewhere you ain't never been before. Let's go. Let's run. I first want to start with Genesis. I want everyone to get your pencil and your piece of paper to write this down so you can keep up with it and always have it in your stash. So now you can climb on top of anybody's head on this one, okay? So let's start with Genesis chapter 25 and verse 8. I'm coming from a different view, a different angle, but I'm just telling you, the title was, what should we be saying today? What we should be speaking? The power. Emphasizing on making sure we letting people know that power is at hand and it ain't gonna play with you. Family members, mama and daddy, siblings, children, wife, husband, pastor, bishop, priest, evangelist, prophet, prophetess, mooring, seer, watchman. Tell them, y'all, that it's all about that power. Why in the rest behind do you think the world is building all these here AI and CERN and all that? Because they think they're going to defeat that power that they know is at hand. While y'all running around here thinking you got a ticket, a one-way ticket to the kingdom. You're going to have a one-way ticket right here in Babylon. And you think Sister Deborah just running her mouth? I'm telling you. Okay, so here we go in Genesis chapter 25 and verse 8, where I'm finna wrap you in and around I want you to keep these verses in case anybody ever say anything to you. You can check them. Okay. Genesis chapter 25. Let's go there. In Genesis chapter 25 and verse 8. In Genesis chapter 25 and verse 8, it reads, Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Genesis chapter 25 and verse 8. I want you to look at what it says. Abraham gave up the ghost and died in his good old age. Abraham gave up the ghost. There go one. Abraham. When it says Abraham gave up the ghost, what does that mean? Anybody in the live chat? If you happen to know. If you don't, that's still, you're going to know at the end. What does it mean when it said Abraham gave up the ghost? Okay, someone said died. His spirit left his body. Exactly. That's what it means. It means his spirit left his body. Okay, now what is this spirit? This spirit is what Yah given each individual. He blew a spirit into us. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah, you're nailing it now. You saying it. So we have a spirit. That's the only place Yah abide in, is the spirit. Our spirit. That's why he don't deal with the flesh, because he got a place to abide in you, which is your spirit. That's that same spirit that he says everything is about the spirit and not the flesh. While everybody thinking it's their flesh, no, it's your spirit. And if you run around acting a monkey today and doing all kind of wicked and evil things, that's because your spirit has given you your authority, its authority over to your flesh, because it is like unto your flesh. It gets a kick out of it. It enjoys what your flesh does. The Almighty took his breath back. Mm-hmm. Right. He takes his breath back, but it leaves you a spirit. So that's the ghost that Abraham has. One thing he does, Yah takes the breath back, but he lets you remain with the spirit, because we all were spirits. We were angels at one time. You see, when he sent us down, we come down in the breath that he has. You see, we exist already. Why? Because we are already written in the Lamb Book of Life, or are we written in the lake of hell? This is why I tell y'all, be careful when you thinking you know something on the earth and you turn around and want the world and this earth to know more than the kingdom. You're alive from the pit of hell. This earth is not going to know more than the kingdom. And I don't know why everybody still thinks that. Right. The ghost is the spirit. Right. Exactly. So here, Abraham, he dies. He gives up the ghost. His spirit sleeps, and I call it resting in the place called paradise. And his breath, the breath that gave life to the spirit, it goes back to the Father. We're gonna break this thing down, and at the end, I'm gonna show y'all something. Okay. So now let's go to Genesis chapter 35. Guys, you're going to wish you would have wrote that verse down. I'm telling y'all, when we finish with this, you're going to wish you would have wrote that down. In Genesis chapter 35 and verse 29. Genesis chapter 35 and verse 29. And it reads, And Isaac gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered into his people, being old and full of days. And his son Elijah saw, and Jacob, Esau and Jacob buried him. Okay. So there go who? Isaac. You might want to write that down. That's Genesis 35 and 29. I noticed Genesis 25 and verse 8, it says Abraham gave up the ghost and died. In Genesis 35, verse 29, it says his son Isaac gave up the ghost. Okay. Now we know in the beginning, it lets you know giving up the ghost mean what? They died. And the ghost giving it up is their spirit. You see? Now, here we go. Let's step into, let me see which one. Let's go to Matthew's 27. Matthew's 27, in the book of Matthew's 27. And we're going to hear Matthew's, Luke, John, and Mark, their encounter, okay? Or their words, okay? In Matthew's chapter 27, verse 50. In Matthew chapter 27, verse 50. Here we go. And Yeshua said unto him, Friend, wherefore thou art thou come? Then came they. Wait a minute. Let me see if I'm. No. I'm on the wrong place, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm in 26. Wait a minute. Let me get in 27. Now, okay, Matthew's 27 and verse 50. In Matthew's 27 and verse 50. Now we know that Abraham gave up the ghost. Isaac gave up the ghost. And here we are in Matthew's 27 and verse 50. Yeshua, when he had cried again a loud voice, yield up the ghost. What do you think that means? Can you answer that one? Let's go to Matthew's chapter 27 and verse 50. Yeshua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yield up the ghost. What do that mean? Anybody? In verse 50, Matthew 27 and verse 50, this is Matthew's talking about Yeshua when he had cried again a loud voice, yield up the ghost. Now, let's go to Luke chapter 23. No, let's go to Mark chapter 15. Mark chapter 15 and verse 37. Mark chapter 15 and verse 37. Mark chapter 15 and verse 37. And Yeshua cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. Yeshua cried with a loud voice and gave up the ghost. Okay, let's go to Luke. Luke chapter 23 and verse 46. In Luke chapter 23, it says, and when Yeshua had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, unto thy hands I commit my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. Okay, I think y'all see where I'm going with this, right? So now let's go to John, the Gospel of John, chapter 19 and verse 30. Let's hear his words. In the Gospel of John, chapter 19 and verse 30, when Yeshua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. Now we just heard Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John state in their words that Yeshua gave up the ghost. Okay, now let's go to Psalms 31. In the book of Psalms 31, verse 4 through 5. Psalms 31, verse 4 through 5. Pour me out of the net that they lay privately for me, for thou art my strength. Verse 5. Into thy hand I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me, O Yah, of truth. To thy hand I commit my spirit. Now there go David. He's actually talking. He ain't going nowhere, but he feel like he is. He think he is. But he said to the Father, into thy hand I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me already. So that's good. I like that. I'm already redeemed. I like that, David. Oh, Yah of truth. But he said, commit my spirit to thy hand. So someone says that was his final breath. Okay, yes, for Yeshua. So what is going on here? What is going on here, y'all? What is going on here? Anybody? I'm going to give a minute. We just learned that Abraham, Isaac, even David knows that there's a spirit that has to be given up after they have died. And guess what? Same way that Yeshua's spirit. So what spirit is that Yeshua gave up? But he gave up the ghost. What is ghost and spirit the same thing? But what was that? See, this is what I was saying to you all, how powerful this is. This spirit and truth really is. Because when it goes up, it can show land down real easy. His own spirit. You see what I'm saying? He had a spirit. His own spirit. 99.15 trillion would say that he was God. No, he was man, born of a woman. To get rid of all mankind's sin, he had to die for sin. Sin can only be found in the flesh. Woo! Flesh is the only thing that can grip sin, people. Adam didn't uphold it. But when Yeshua came, he upheld sin, no sin. He defeated sin in the human flesh. And by defeating sin, he gave up his flesh for all man's sin, all mankind. Let's make sure we say that. And he gave up the ghost. So tell me, why do y'all need a ghost? And he is the spirit. You see? See that? You see? Now I'm just showing y'all something that y'all did not know. I know you can think you say you, but the truth be told, that I just showed you how as Abraham, so did Yeshua. As Isaac, so did Yeshua. As David spoke it, so did Yeshua. Yeshua was just a man, born of a woman. He was the Son of Man. And that which came down here with him was the Son of Yah. Yah only begotten of himself. Do you see the difference? in what went to Calvary and died on the cross versus Emmanuel being with us that walked inside of the flesh of the Son of Man. So when you wonder what he was saying and why Yeshua was concerned about them staying up, not falling asleep every time he go away a prayer, then he began to say, take away this bitter cup. He knew who he was talking to. Too bad you don't. He knew who he was talking to. He was talking to the Father that was Emmanuel, that came down with him, called Hamashiach, which the world called Christ, the Son of Yah. Why ain't nobody talk about that? Yes, he died the way all men, just like you and I would die. He died the same way. And here you got these sick men call themselves leading the mass and the multitude, telling people, oh, he was God. They don't even have no sense. That's you nailed it when you said that he gave up the spirit. So this here showed you that Abraham, Isaac, David spoke of it, and then Yeshua. They did the same thing when they died. You get what I'm saying? Yeshua came to die without sinning at all. That was the only way he was going to erase all of our sin, is to come in and go out without a sin. And he did an excellent job, a wonderful job, a great job. He did it. He did it, y'all. But I want to let you know something. I'm like Yeshua. He didn't do it alone. You too are going to be held blameless. If you hold what he had in him, if you hold that same ruach in you, he already checked. I'm going to hold you blameless when I see you on the other side. Why? Because he's living in us, y'all. There go that power again. He's living in us. Something the world can't receive what Sister Deborah is saying, because they know not. You'll get people who hear this and take off running like a fool, because it caused them. Do you know that's the reason why the great falling away? Because people didn't heard so many lies, till they rather keep the lie than have the light come on and no truth. People would rather keep the lie than to have the light come on in spirit and truth, because they don't want you to interfere. And I'm talking to everybody. People don't want you to interfere with their comfort zone, none whatsoever. So they have already revealed who they are. They revealed and they say, well, no, I'm not going to change. I ain't going that right. Why? Too many voices in the land. And a lot of it, y'all, what is the key? Let me tell you the key to it. They have lied to so many people. They have went into their families and lied. They have went to their church and lied. They done went amongst their co-workers and lied. They done been out here teaching and preaching, and all of it been a lie. So what Sister Deborah does, when I speak, I bring every lie down. They can't take that. So this is why they run. They run out of here. They go, ooh, let me get out of here. Let me get out. They have every reason to run. And they have no idea. It's not your flesh running. It's your spirit. They can't handle spirit and truth. They can't handle the light. The truth be told was what we just spoke of. And nobody can't come back and counteract it, y'all. Because we gave Yeshua his honor. He did an excellent job, a great job, a marvelous job. Everything he talked about was trying to get us to understand his Father. Instead, we want to call him the Father. He said, my Father and I are one. He's letting you know there's two of us, but we're in one. When you see me, you see my Father. Well, what is it I'm seeing of you? He said, all these signs and wonders is of my Father. They're not of me. So he was telling them the power was coming from his Father. You see, they didn't want it. And that's how we are today. They do not, yeah, one mission. Exactly. That's a good way to, that's the right way to say it. No one wants to just put it where it needs to be. They will run like a bat out of hell. If you tap into somebody, if y'all only, let me say this, people, if you only knew that people can't handle what I'm saying because they lied to so many people. They didn't open their ugly mouth the wrong way and have lied. And now I'm sitting here saying it to you, what the Father was saying to me. He was telling me something about today. And I kid y'all not, earlier today, he said, Deborah, the level of a lie, people gonna live and die. And I didn't know what that means, but I can say that even to tonight. The lie is what they hold dear to. They're not going to change the lie. Say, for instance, you went on at your job and you've been ministering to people and you've been telling them this and telling them that. What I just said, how could you go back and switch it? How could you go back and make it make sense, even though I just gave you all the verses showing you Yeshua had a spirit like them because he was a son of man. He was supposed to have a spirit like all of us. But there was the Father, Emmanuel, with him, in him, so that he can complete the mission of no sin, the mission of teaching us of the Father. While he was walking and in his journey, teaching us about him. He taught us about his power, but we threw it away. Everything Yeshua taught us, it has been thrown away, y'all, whether y'all believe it or not. That's why you can't just grip what people are teaching and say, oh, it. Sit your tails down. You don't know your left from your right. But the truth be told, what I just gave you all is a very bright light. Now you see how it's impossible for the Son of Man to be the Father. You see? The reason why that happened, they had no respect. They didn't have no respect for the power in the beginning. That's why they don't know nothing today. And he left it there. So why haven't nobody preached that? That Yeshua had the same thing everybody else had. They gave up the ghost, the spirit. This is why I tell y'all, that was a part of the will of the Father in the mission. So when you hear people celebrating like Easter and Christmas, they have no idea. Did you all know when they switch the evening, the day starting in the evening to the morning? You know, I'm thinking it's the evening to the evening. I don't know which one it is, but it's evening to the morning. That messed up everything. Did y'all know that? That's how easy it was for them to switch it to Sunday. Do y'all know 95% serve and do their little Sabbath on a Sunday? And they call it righteous? Y'all don't get it, do you? All I'm telling you tonight is all of this crooked mess is what Yah is allowing to come out of darkness so we can see it for what it is and stop running around here with them, agreeing. And when we see it, you got to express it. You got to feel that thing. You got to call it what it is. You can't just stand in it. So when I'm sitting here talking, I sat back and seen the number drop. And I began to understand it's supposed to drop because people are not going to change the lie they've been told for no truth in the heavens nor on the earth. They ain't going to change that. Why? Because they went and told too many people the lie. And because they have told so many people the lie, they can't go back to reverse it. So they rather swim in the lie. They rather live and die in the lie. And they have no idea it ain't over until you get to the other side and kind of feel what takes place afterwards. Because it's just amazing how when you speak spirit and truth and the light, it's just so heavy, and it should be. That's why many of you all didn't understand, and I know even you all that been with me, y'all never understand a lot of things I'm saying, and that's expected. Why? The 12 didn't understand nothing Yeshua said. He walked with them all them years, showing them miracles and signs, ministering and preaching, teaching them and everything, but they didn't understand a word he said. Did y'all know that? A lot of y'all don't. They didn't understand a word he said. It took the Ruach to come in there for them to remember everything that was taught to them. That's that power. That's that power. That's that power. That's what it took for them to remember everything. They didn't believe. They didn't even believe. They really didn't believe. So myself, I understand. I understand why it's hard for people to believe the lie than the truth. And they're going to die with the lie that they've been living. Even this is how just the Father is. Here we are in the end day, in a critical time like no other, and he bringing light out, and people still saying, "No, don't cut on the light. We want to sit in darkness." That's the mentality. They think it's okay to continue to reside in darkness, where it's comfortable for the flesh. Because if Yeshua gave up the ghost, you know what that means, y'all? That was flesh on the cross, or that died. That was the flesh. And giving up the ghost, guess what? He didn't have nothing else. He went into the tomb as flesh. But somebody met him there. Oh, yes. That power. Oh, Father. Oh, Father. That power met him in the tomb. What did that power do? Held that body up for 3 days. Woo! Raised that body up. Poured out his breath into him. And he got up. He got up with what? All power. And I double dare and one of you to say that the Ruach HaKodesh is not all power. We too. If we're asleep and we've given up the ghost, we too shall rise again. Woo! You see, that's that power. They're going to rise us back up. Just like Yeshua. But we have to respect the power. And all I'm saying by connecting that is leading right back to the power, because I want y'all to see how the power was right there waiting for them to put him into the place where they buried him, behind that stone. Ain't nothing too hard for the Father. And that's why Yeshua was talking the way he was talking, because it was his flesh going to the cross. Emmanuel, Yah with us, was no longer in him. He even cried out on the cross to remind you that the Father had forsaken him. So how dare you tell him that he is the Father? How could he have said, Abba, Abba, why have thou forsaken me? What would be, see, this is what the Father was saying to me. He said, even in the study guide, they still don't study. Why? because they study it with a heavy flesh of wisdom, a heavy flesh of knowledge, a heavy flesh of understanding. Because right then he was telling you, I'm on this cross as flesh in my spirit. I'm on this cross by myself. He was sending you and I a message that he had to die for us in the flesh with no detachment to Emmanuel with him. Why? You will never ever be able to do anything to the Father in you. You can't. What sense does that make? You see how the Father was connected to make sure that it was fulfilled. He got them all the way there. And that's how he is with us. He'll go all the way with us. He won't leave us. He'll go all the way with us. And that's what many things that as even young girl I think about. I said, but Father, here I am, an old hen, and they still don't know. If you're reading something where he said, why have thou forsaken me? How could he be saying that if he is the Father? Who is he saying forsaking him? But I thought he was the Father. Now, do that make any sense, y'all? That shows you how simple things is clearly seen. But yet the lie is greater than the truth in those who are liars and believe the lie. They're going to live and die the lie. And ain't nothing nobody can do about it. I was thinking about how I am so grateful that the Father still made his choices in the kingdom and not waited till they were on the earth. That is such a blessing. I don't care. I care if I go to the kingdom, but I'm like, what ain't nothing my Father do. That's an error. So whatever he has planned for me, I'm well. If I have to go anywhere else, I don't have no problem with that. Because he gave me a chance to do what is right. He gave me much spirit and truth. He gave me much teaching, revealing, comforting, showing me things to come, allowing things to not come upon me without him giving me the full deal warning. I look at all of that. He did way more than enough. And if I don't make it to the side of eternal kingdom, I can stand here today and say to you, I am thankful to him for giving me a chance to do all that he has allowed me to do. I'm sure Satan would say the same. Because at any time, he could have cut him off a long time ago. This is where I say to you all, learning to respect he that is entitled to all respect. Learning to honor the Most High Yah, who is entitled to all honor. Learn to glorify, magnify, exalt, praise the one that's entitled. And if Yeshua could come back and turn around and look at us, and he'll tell you the same thing. Now, what I just revealed, it wasn't that it was something that's so hidden secret. It been there all this time in the study guide. See, they can't even go by their own study book that they say is the word. Because if they did, they would have pulled out that there and figured something out outside of still saying he's the Father. How has the Father said, why have you forsaken me if you are the Father? Do that make sense? You can't even make it make sense. Because it don't make sense. Then he said, it is finished. the mission complete. That's exactly what he was saying. It is finished. They wouldn't even look at that. Because if you look at it is finished, it's telling you something. Something is completed. You see, something is done. And it had to do with him dying on the cross. Even if it wasn't the cross, I don't care what it was. His living, his flesh was the sacrifice, something Adam didn't do. He messed it up. So he came and showed us how it can be done. And we too are going to walk into the kingdom like he did, fully completed, because Yah redeemed us back to himself through that very act. Now, watch this here, y'all. What act redeemed us? Anybody know? Through that very act, the main part that redeemed us. Somebody said the R. I don't know what that is. And if I do, I'm going to go to Dumb City on it. Because for it's a letter. R. Okay? That's right. Christ's resurrection in the spirit. There it is. And just imagine, 99.9 don't know that. I'm smiling to keep from wanting to cry. That's what redeemed us, Christ's resurrection of the spirit. What did Yeshua do? He died for all man's sin. You see? Father, I'm going to go to bed good tonight. Listen to this, y'all. Yeshua was the Son of Man, born of a woman. He came to show us that he could conquer what Adam could not. And that was be born into a flesh sin, but uphold sin itself from the flesh. No, he couldn't have done it by himself. That's why you got to know about the beloved, the only begotten, that came down as Emmanuel with us in the flesh of Yeshua to help support him, to show us that the same way he upheld Yeshua in the flesh. What is the flesh? Sin. But he did it through the what? The help of the Son of Yah, which is Christ, which is the power of the word and the spirit. That was Emmanuel, meaning Yah with us. He came with him to complete it. Yeshua was conquering what Adam couldn't conquer. Yeshua was not conquering, redeeming us, y'all. He was conquering sin in the flesh. So there's two parts, baby, that made y'all miss it. And heaven's orchestrated that way. Because Yeshua was dying for the sin of us. See, sin can't be found in the spirit. You didn't know that, did you? Only be found in the flesh. So he was dying for the flesh. About time they took him to the tomb, the one that's called Emmanuel, Yah with us, Christ was waiting. Because now the Son of Man has died for the flesh. Now Yah is going to redeem his. by the Spirit. So just imagine people celebrating all this trash, not knowing the death, the burial, and resurrection for what it was, what it is, and what it's going to be in the time to come. They just out here teaching it to be a lie. But Yah said, let them teach the lie. Because they're not going to let Luke go. They're not going to let loose of the lie. And that's what he was dealing with me today, earlier today. He just came out of nowhere. And he said to Deborah, you know the lie? They ain't going to give up that lie. And as I was talking to you about how people drop the number, I said, yeah, when you start telling them about Isaac, Abraham, David, and Yeshua gave up the ghost, oh, they start coming down. You know why? The lie is what they done told so many people. So many pastors have lied to the mass of the multitude. They will kill you to say anything different. Why? Because they have lied. And they know y'all going to hold them accountable for all those you have caused to walk quickly through the broad gate. So they can't go back. Do y'all see why they can't go back? Can you see why they got to uphold the lie? A lot of y'all might not know that, but that's the only way they're going to uphold the lie. Or else they have to turn around and go the opposite way. And they don't want to do that. They don't want, that's the same thing I was saying earlier when I was in the gym. People don't want to give up. They're comfortable where they at. Oh no, I ain't giving them nothing. To the point when he come, they ain't gonna want to give it up. And they ain't going to. Many would say, I'm gonna give it up. No. If you ain't gave it up by the time he get here, you ain't gonna give it up. Because that's what you ain't gonna want to leave. So I thank the Father from working with us from the inside and knowing how to let go and let Yah. Because when that time comes, people gonna want to leave. People are not going to want to leave. He ain't gonna get you to leave. He only coming for a remnant that he already counted. So he ain't come to get you. He ain't coming to get you. Many gonna go following, thinking they going too. But he said, I'm a purge the rebels out, Deborah. Those who transgress against me. You ain't going over. But I let people go on. And like he said to me today, Deborah, they ain't giving up the lie. He said, I don't care what you teach. I don't care how you break it down. I don't care how you speak with all spirit and truth and my light in your right hand. They didn't give it up for me. And they ain't going to give it up for you. They're going to keep their lies. Even if their lies have to lie on him. He said they're going to hold on to their lie. And I'm like saying, Father, that's deep now. He said, but don't forget, heaven knew about it. So it ain't so deep that heaven didn't know what was going on, what was going to go on. He knew about it. And that's the beauty of him again to me. It's knowing, all-knowing one. And a lot of y'all sit y'all tails up here and don't understand what all this mess that they're doing and they preparing and why the beast is going to, why Satan, the devil's going to give his power to the beast, because they got a plan. And he's giving them the power because he knows his job is over. He already deceived the whole world. He mastered what he come down here to do, but he's giving his power over to what? Flesh, man. Because now they think they going to battle with whatever y'all got going on. That's why they got all these things. Y'all think they up in space for nothing? Y'all think they underground, 10, 20 miles underground for nothing? They got traveling trains, everything you can name. Food down underground is not tainted. It's all fresh, grown, with no chemicals, no nothing. Medicine, everything. They got lungs, kidneys, hearts, everything underground. They got babies, they got teenagers, they got young boys. Everything is underground. While you thinking you running your tail around here on top of the earth, thinking you doing something. And you don't even about knowing what's happening on the earth, period, where the kingdom see it all. Oh, yeah, right. See, it's more than what your eyes can see. And I keep telling y'all that the Spirit lets you see all the deepness of darkness. And the pain of endurance and long suffering, it sits there patiently, keeping you low so you won't lose your low mind. Because you see it for what it is. You ain't telling these people no lies. You ain't manipulating them and deceiving them. You telling them 100% truth. And the people are going to hang on to their lies. And it ain't nothing wrong with hanging on to your lie. You just belong to the father of lies. And you might as well salute the fact that you do. There's no needing, but see, they can't go back and change it now. They can't go back and change it. The best way they can do it is make me a lie. You can't make me a lie. Because you know why? Just like I told y'all, righteous don't need me and don't need you to stand with truth. And truth don't need us. It stands for righteous. So we need to get our ugly tail somewhere and sit down. We don't run nothing. That there runs it all. So when it all said and done, it ain't about, when I'm going to hold on to my lie. I don't believe that. That ain't the truth. Who gives a rap behind what you talking about is truth? Truth is what sits side by side with righteous. They one of a kind. They are oneness. It ain't your truth and my truth and their truth and their truth. No. This truth and righteous stand hand in hand. Now, no one would have ever caught the fact that, wait a minute, all of them said they had a spirit that they had to give up. Even the Messiah, who everybody say is the Father. Make it make sense. You ain't going to be able to make it make sense because it can't make sense. None of you can make it make sense. Emmanuel, Yah with us. Yeah, he told them that in their study guide. But they don't seem to know where he at. Right, you're right. That's true. It's rotten above and below. Exactly. That's true. That is true. That is true. Mm-hmm. That is true. So anybody have any questions before Sister Deborah I'm telling you. Okay. I learned so much tonight. Good, good. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because guess what? When the Father was revealing that to me, when we tell you something, Nancy, I didn't know it. I learned. So when you say that, that's just how I felt. I say, Father, do I know that Yeshua is the Son of Man? Yeah. But he connected me to all of us having a spirit, even Yeshua. And he said, just look and write it down and just go over it. But he said, go back to Genesis. I said, it's in Genesis too? He said, go back. And when I went and I saw Abraham, I saw Isaac, then I heard David talking about giving up the spirit. I said, wait a minute. But let me see how many times. He said, you go to Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John. You just go to each one of those and you'll see he said the same thing. Yeshua did. So he was saying, see, this is another drop ball, Deborah. Yeah, you knew that Yeshua was just the Son of Man and he wasn't the Father. And Hamashiach was the Father. You knew that, which is Christ, the word called Christ. But I want to just show you, they don't even go by the book that they say is the word. Because if they did, they would have already read that. You see? And at that moment, when he showed me all of them sitting there, I was like, now how can they get away with that one? But even though I can tell you when he said, Abba, Abba, why have thou forsaken me? How could that be the Father asking himself? You know, just so many things that Yah is showing you that had already been sitting right there in darkness, but everybody calling it wrong while they lie in darkness. So it's almost like the light has been always there, but they chose to tell the lie that sits in darkness because it brought more people to the broad gate. I think that's what it was, to tell you the truth. So when you said you learned, I was like, that's how I felt when the Father was showing me all of them. And it was more than just them who gave up the ghost. But I'm just still saying, so it tells you if they was flesh and blood and they gave up the spirit and gave up the goat, when who was Yeshua on the cross? He had to been flesh and blood too. See? But they ain't gonna key it in. You are so right. Honor to the Most High Yah. Hallelujah. All praise and honor and glory to Abba for his spirit and truth. Yes, praise the Most High Yah. Yeah, just and it's just things that and we be thinking, hey, we didn't cap it off. We didn't know, we know, but it just shows you that it's so much. No one never said anything about how time is still passing. Not time, but the day are still moving on. And they moving real fast, real fast. I mean, days, weeks, months, years, they're moving, y'all. It's just moving real fast. But people thinking that the creator is on their time. They don't think he got his own timeline. Yep. And that's the Ruach. He want us to know and learn new things. But guess what, baby? It comes with long suffering. Because you can learn it all. But who are you going to tell it to? You get the point? I don't know if you get the point. What about learning it all? But at least we won't lose our eternal. I say it like that. So we are just constantly feeding us until we out of here. At least we won't lose our spirit to damnation. I could say that. Because if he still feel fit that he's teaching us and showing us things, then we can't be the one going to the lake of fire. Ooh-wee! You see what I'm saying? Because he's still pouring out. He's still giving us. And that is all light. That's that light he said in the midst of darkness. He's going to bring in the end days that which is in the dark. He's going to bring it to light in the end days. Who is he bringing the light to? You see what I'm saying? It's to his. He ain't bringing the light to darkness for darkness to do about face and go into righteous. No. He's bringing the light out of darkness for his own servants, those that are of him, that belong to him. He ain't got time to get darkness no light so that they can turn and do about face. If you're crooked, you're crooked. He ain't finna reverse your crookedness. Food for the spirit. Mm-hmm. To his, that's what I'm saying. He ain't gonna be giving the darkness light for them to get right. No. And that's another thing we must keep in mind. Because it says the earth groaned. I think that's what it says, something like that. But just imagine us who's constantly being revealed things. Just imagine, because when he was telling me that tonight, I said, Father, you know what? I started not to even go over. I said, Father, they'd have missed it all the way around. They missed it. That first thing I said, they missed it. They dropped the ball way back then. He said, but look here, I'm going to bring you all the way up. I'm going to take you to Genesis and bring you all the way up to the Messiah and show you how they dropped the ball on that. And it ain't so much as they drop the ball. It's more so because when I start speaking of it, the numbers start dropping. You see? So it shows you it's not so much as the ball being dropped. The lie is what people willing to hold on to more than anything. They ain't going to give. They lie. It's their salvation. Their lie is their redeemer. Their lie is their comforter. Their lie is their teacher. Their lie is their revealer. Their lie is they all in all. So they're going to run from anything that's revealing light, speaking spirit and truth. They're going to run from it as quick as possible. Because honestly, y'all, just imagine if somebody been teaching people all this lies. How can they go back to reverse it? They can't. They full of lies. So how do you expect them to turn around and reverse something? Lie is living in them. Lie gonna die in them. Lie gonna raise up in them. And they gonna go where all the liars should go for eternal. Since you love lie, you rather have the lie. A light comes out, they start running. Let me go back into darkness. I got to go to the deepest darkness. Because they don't want no dealings with light. A carnal mind. Yep. A carnal mind. And he even said he was going to pour out a strong delusion so they can believe the lie. So you think I'm just talking about the lie? I'm not just talking about the lie. The Father said he's going to pour out the strong delusion so they will continue to believe the lie. So you see what I'm talking about is how people would detach themselves to the lie quick and take off running because they don't want to, because they done went to their co-workers, they done went to their church, they done been pastors, bishops, and all these other people on this platform. They ain't gonna come near this page. You better not. Cut your throat. You better not come nowhere near it. Because it'll, let me tell y'all what it do. It'll strip them naked. It will strip them naked and show their shame. Deborah, you know you going there, ain't you? I sure am. It will strip them naked and show their shame. And that's what they don't want. They don't want nobody to see their shame because they've been lying all the time. And before they give up that lie, they rather take off running with that lie in each hand and running for dear life with their lies. But you all, now you have truth. That's why I was telling you to make sure you write that down. Because you know what, y'all? That's all you're going to hear in this day and time. Not this time, but in this day. A bunch of people lying. A bunch of people trying to convince you that Yeshua is this. He's the God. He's the Father. He the this. And these are verses in their own word, which is a book that they study by. You can catch them in their own word. And guess what? They still won't strip naked and show their shame. They're going to hold on to the lie with another lie and another lie and another lie and another lie. Next thing you know, they dead and gone with their lie, carrying it all the way to the eternal. Many people don't understand your flesh come down here to support the lie of your flesh, your spirit come down here to support the lie of your flesh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you didn't know that, did you? Oh yes. Your spirit comes down here to support the lie of your flesh. The full meal, okay? But yes, praise the Most High Yah. I know that's right. But that's just the sum of it, you know, when it all said and done. But, you know, I appreciate the Most High Yah for everything that he gives us in the spirit of food for our spirit and spirit and truth. I really am grateful for him and for you all that he has his desire is to feed those that are holding the light and holding spirit and truth, because the world is going to take care of their own. They're going to love on their own. And yeah, I'm going to tell y'all think Sister Deborah just talking. There are people going to enter in this month, next month, they're gonna be talking, and you're gonna meet people. People gonna be talking. It's just like sometimes I'm gonna tell y'all. Sometimes I'll be saying, I say, I hope these people don't come talk to me. I know I shouldn't say it like that, but I do. Because I have to tell spirit and truth. I can't tell or play in their backyard with them. Because a lot of people feel, well, I'm going to play in their backyard with them until I'm able to tell them the truth. No, with me, I get to the core. But I take what they say and I build up on it. You see? And I do not have to go verse and chapter. I can still swing parables, and so can you. You can, because if you be chasing chapters and verses, you be there all night and all day and won't go nowhere. But see, when there's a Ruach HaKodesh in you, he'd be the one to be quick to speak. He ain't got time to chase all that. He's gonna give you what he gonna give you through the spirit, and most of it will be set up like a parable. And a lot of people work really well with parables, you guys. That's why Yeshua was doing it. They work really well with parables. And those are the best thing to do and to put out is the parables, because the parables kind of set a real nice pace and atmosphere for one to receive truth. If you can just be delicate when you're communicating with them, but you can bring it in a form of a parable. And it works really well. It's worked all my living. It has worked for me. Giving up the ghosts in Genesis 25. Oh, you got them down. That's good. That's good. Oh, you got them all down. That's real good. But yeah, so when somebody come telling you, oh no, Jesus was the Father, how was the Father said, why have thou forsaken me? Meaning, Father, why have thou forsaken me? Abba, Abba. Come on now, talk to me. That right there will shoot somebody in the foot. You see, but they don't think. They don't think that a lot of they stuff that they teaching. But then again, I don't know. I think it's still got to do with the Ruach, us knowing it. So that's why they don't know it, because they don't. You still have to have that Holy Spirit. Oh yeah, them parables can really set the pace for you. Really good, really good. And it's getting to the point where I'm starting to say nothing, because the minds of the people is not there, y'all. And you know what I also learned? I learned that in this country, there's a lot of what you call sundown towns, and there's a lot of places where they give checks to Europeans that's on drugs. Did y'all know that? This country does that. Y'all didn't know that, did you? Oh, yeah. Just like they okay sundown towns, it shows you that this country has not changed from anything when they allow that to happen and allow people to lose their lives in these places and nobody do nothing about it. It's just showing you the level of how we as a people really think that things is as like cotton candy, in this country. It's not. Oh, yes. Yep. Yep, they sure do. And I honestly, I think I learned that like 4 years ago. But I even know about it even more because I've seen several of the places here in this state. Okay. And I'm like saying, why are those people gathering? It's always Europeans. And I knew why they were gathering because someone else also told me, but I knew why they were gathering. But they give them checks. Yes, they do. A sundown town is a place that does not allow melanated people to be in its town past sundown. And if you're caught there, they kill you. Yeah, that's here in the United States. And they've been here for years. It never went nowhere, even after slavery. It's always been here. And that's why I was saying, when you think of Jesse Jackson and talking about Obama and all them, Obama is not melanated. He's melanated, but cause of his father, Ham. But I believe he's connected to either Iran or Iraq. I think that's where his mother, most likely. And I sat back and you got several people talking about Islam. And if y'all see the sickness coming out of that religion, mm, it's I didn't know it was that bad, y'all. I did not know it was that bad. But when we get out of the zone and think that things can't be worse than what it really is, then that's us. That's our fault. Because he said we are worse. It's worse than our forefathers, and then said in this day and time it's like no other. So we have to know that what this day we're in, you subject to see anything wicked and evil. Yep. Yep. Yes, it's horrible, but they never got rid of it. It's always been there. And I just don't see, I just don't understand all these people that's being found dead, and it's just too many of them for this whole country to be bypassing like it ain't nothing happening. You more concerned about the war over in Russia and in Iran, and then what's going on in your country. And that's why in Matthew's it talks about, I think it's in Matthew's 24 verse 7, kingdom against kingdom and nation against nation. That means a war within a war. Now it's going on right in this United States, and everybody is in total dumb city. Everybody is totally blind, like they don't see what's going on. And that's another part of me in the wilderness. I'm like watching this and saying to the Father, but Father, they acting like it ain't happening, ain't nothing happening. You know what? Y'all don't have no problem you going to dumb city, because guess what? They gone anyway. You see, they gone anyway. So he's saying you're trying to get them to see when even if they did see, they wouldn't do nothing because they're a part of what they see. And I'm like, oh, you can't win. You can't win for losing. Or did I say that right? I don't know. So I, Sister Deborah, appreciate each and every last one of you all tuning in. And I will be back. I don't know what topic that the Spirit will give me tomorrow. But I'd say I appreciate each and every last one of you all in the live chat. And since I've been going to the gym, I'm feeling much better. Yep. Yes. I can see the difference. So I, Sister Deborah, says, I will be back. Shalom and shalom.